Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. It is a Monday, the 17th of February, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. After former President Rodrigo Duterte joked about killing 15 senators, President Bongbong Marcos fires back.
Narinig lang natin nung isang araw, walang daw pag-asa. Siguro, kanina wala silang pag-asa, kaya papatay na lang sila ng 15 na senador.
The Comelec is now investigating a partyless group allegedly involved in vote buying, and it was even caught on video. Quezon City declares a dengue outbreak as cases spike. Health authorities are once again reminding the public to be vigilant against the disease. And UAAP volleyball is back. Which teams got their first win on opening weekend? Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, President Bongbong Marcos and former President Rodrigo Duterte seems to be trading barbs this campaign season. Marcos slammed former Duterte over his quote-unquote joke about killing 15 senators during a campaign rally in Davao del Norte. Here's the report.
Despite Davao being a known Duterte stronghold, the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas senatorial candidates campaigned in the city over the weekend. President Bongbong Marcos attended the event and responded to former President Rodrigo Duterte's statement about killing 15 senators to make room for PDP laban slate.
Narinig lang natin nung isang araw, walang daw pag-asa. Siguro, kanina wala silang pag-asa, kaya papatay na lang sila ng 15 na senador. Ay, talaga, sabagay, mahirap naman yung ibang tao. Ang iniisip lang nila, ang kaisa-isang solusyon sa lahat ng problema ay pumatay pa ng Pilipino.
Marcos said the opposition may be resorting to violent rhetoric due to the strong competition posed by his candidates.
Ngunit, maintindihan mo rin, dahil kung ako nga ay nasa kabilang partido at itong mga ito ang kaharap natin, ay bako, mahihirap sasabihin ko, mahirap na kampanya ito dahil mabigat ang kalaman.
Duterte made the controversial remark at the kickoff rally of the PDP Laban senatorial slate at Club Filipino in San Juan City last week. The president also reiterated that none of his 12 senatorial bets are involved in corruption, extrajudicial killings, POGO operations, or hold pro-China positions.
Wala rin sa kanila ang sip-sip sa China na tuwang-tuwa, sumisigaw. Tuwang-tuwa pagka yung ating mga Coast Guard ay binobomba ng mga malalaking barko. Hindi po sila sumasang-ayon sa mga ginagawa na hinaharang ang ating mangingisda para at ninanakaw ang kanilang huli.
The Commission on Elections is investigating a partyless group allegedly involved in vote buying. Camera footage reportedly shows cash handouts of 100 peso bills and membership cards to voters in Baguio and Benguet. Now, Comelec did not name the group but said it is linked to an incumbent and re-electionist lawmaker. Vote buying is a ground for candidates' disqualification. Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections has released a list of approved online campaign platforms for senatorial candidates and partyless groups in the 2025 elections. In a statement, Comelec said the ONBank approved the registrations of online campaign platforms for candidates and parties that fully complied with the requirements. Now, among those approved are Bam Aquino, Jimmy Bondoc, Bong Revilla, Franz Castro, Bato de la Rosa, Bong Go, Rodante Marcoleta, Amy Marcos, Kiko Pangilinan, Apollo Kibuloy, Francis Tolentino, Ben Tulfo, and Erwin Tulfo. The Comelec also approved the online platforms of 85 partyless groups, including 4Ps, Kabataan, Mamamayang Liberal, United Senior Citizens, and Maharlika. Now, the complete list is available on the Comelec's official website at comelec.gov.ph. The House Tri-Committee will hold its second hearing on the spread of online disinformation on Tuesday, February 18. Now, this comes following the issuance of show cause orders to 28 social media influencers and vloggers who failed to attend the first inquiry. Now, they could face legal action, including subpoenas and contempt charges. In the meantime, government officials, tech giants, and media experts are expected to testify on potential regulatory measures. And coming up, Quezon City declares a dengue outbreak due to a spike in cases. 10 patients have died, 8 of them were minors. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be right back with more stories after the break. Welcome back. You're still with us on Morning Matters. Quezon City declares a dengue outbreak after a surge in cases. Mayor Belmonte calls it a proactive measure to protect residents. Here's the report.
Cases of dengue are already increasing in Quezon City. From January 1 until Friday, February 14, almost 1,800 dengue cases have been reported in the city. This is the highest number of dengue cases recorded in the same period since 2010. Most of the cases involved children aged 5 to 17, and based on Quezon City records, 10 patients have died. 8 of them were minors. Most of them did not immediately seek medical attention.
Kasi napapagkamalan lang nila yung lagnat is just an ordinary fever. Hindi nila sinususpecha na ito ay dengue. Meron threat ngayon ng dengue.
Because of this, the local government of Quezon City QC has declared a dengue outbreak.
Hindi po natin layunin na takutin ang publiko at magpanik ang lahat. Alarming po ang pagtaas ng dengue cases sa ating pong lungsod at mas alarming po ang bilang ng mga namamatay ng dengue.
The QC-LGU attributes the surge in cases to intermittent rainfall and climate change. They are now monitoring 76 barangays, where most of the cases came from in the last 2 weeks. The local government also plans to intensify cleanup and information drives, as well as anti-dengue spraying to prevent the spread of the disease. The Department of Health, on the other hand, reiterated that it is up to the LGUs to declare outbreaks, as dengue cases nationwide have reached over 28,000 as of February 1, which is 40% higher than the same period last year. Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Calabar Zone regions have reported the most cases.
Sa taong lugar yan. Pagka magkakadikit kasi yung mga istruktura, magkakalapit yung mga tao, mas madaling maghawaan.
The Health Department calls on the public to follow the 4S strategy: search and destroy, secure self-protection, seek early consultation, and support fogging and spraying to prevent the spread of dengue. Apart from dengue, the DOH is also monitoring leptospirosis and flu-like illnesses. Because these diseases have similar initial symptoms like fever, early consultation is crucial to get the right treatment.
Lahat sila kapag maagang naikonsulta ay naiiwasan natin yung malubhang simptomas at lalo na yung pagkamatay.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to hear a petition seeking to raise the minimum jeepney fare. According to the LTFRB, the petition has been pending since November 2023 and is scheduled for a hearing on February 19. If approved, the minimum fare will increase by 2 pesos from the current 13 pesos to 15 pesos. In October, the LTFRB granted a 1 peso provisional fare increase. In other news, the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission says it will take a year to remove all Philippine offshore gaming operators. PAOK Undersecretary Gilbert Cruz confirmed that operations to expel former POGO workers are ongoing but gradual due to their widespread presence. The Bureau of Immigration earlier reported that 11,000 ex-POGO workers still remain in the country. This comes despite the government's POGO ban implemented on December 31. Now, to talk more about this, we have PAOK spokesperson Winston Casio on the line, joining us on Morning Matters today. Magandang umaga po.
Hello, good morning, Gretchen, and good morning to all your viewers and listeners.
Okay, as we mentioned in our story, 11,000 POGO workers remain in the country. This is reported to us by the Bureau of Immigration. This was supposed to end by December 31. Where is government having difficulty?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Presently, we're running after around 11,000 POGO workers who have defied the president's ban and the BI's order for them to leave the country no later than the 31st of last December.
Okay, as you mentioned, 11,000 nga po, ano? But what are the challenges that we're facing here? Ito po ba yung nababanggit nyo? Kasi last year, nasabi ninyo that they have devolved into smaller operations. Is that mostly the main concern here? Because I do believe that there are also concerns on the documents that are needed to deport them.
Yeah. There are varying factors, ma'am, that basically has delayed the full implementation of this ban. One, you're correct, a good number of the big hubs have devolved into smaller units and have hidden basically in plain sight. They're in condominium units, they're in apartment complexes, and even some residential areas. But a good number that are still within some cities in the southern parts of Metro Manila. We do believe that they have evolved their operations from purely offshore gaming operations, and they're hiding behind some legalities. We're trying to look into the legalities that they're using to hide their operations. For one, they could be taking advantage of the business process outsource mode. They may have reinvented themselves into BPOs, but at the end of the day, despite only doing back office operations, we do believe that some of them are still into receiving bets and paying out winnings of the bets. Third, for those that we have in our detention, we are unable to fully deport all of them because the National of potential deportees physically present their passports. And that's going to be a problem, and that has been a problem because most of these foreign nationals do not have in their possession their passports anymore.
Can I just clarify, out of the 11,000 POGO workers we are looking to deport, ilan po rito yung nag-aantay na lamang ng aksyon mula sa BI na makaalis po sila ng Pilipinas dahil po sa mga dokumento?
Dito po sa BIWF facility, sa Bureau of Immigration Warden Facility, I think they still have around 300 or more yan sa Rai Ranch building sa Parañaque. And sa amin naman po, from PAOK, we 90 detainees who are awaiting deportation. Basically, in our case, we're simply waiting for the NBI clearance to be issued to them. Again, as earlier, we're unable to secure the NBI clearance because the NBI has a policy, a written policy that basically requires that all of these foreign deportees, before they can apply for an NBI clearance, they should be able to present their physical passports. Now, we've written the NBI, asked them to forgo with this policy and simply use the Bureau of Immigration entry records as the proofs of identities of these POGO deportees.
Okay, and has this already been approved, or are you still waiting for a response?
We're still waiting for a response from the NBI leadership. We've sent out the letter, I think, more than a week ago. And hopefully by this week or maybe next week, we'll get a positive reply from them.
Spokes, i-clarify ko kasi medyo choppy lang po yung linya kanina. No? Sabi niyo po 300 plus na sa Parañaque, tas 90 sa PAOK. Tama po ba yung pagkakarinig ko?
No, if I'm not mistaken, yung Bureau of Immigration Warden Facility, from the latest operation that they conducted with the National Bureau of Investigation, with the Rai Ranch POGO, I think they still have more than 300 or more than 200 awaiting deportation. Now, with us, in PAOK, In our own custodial facility, we have more than 290 who are still awaiting the issuance of their NBI clearances before we can proceed with deportation.
This means if you compute that, there are about 600 in government hands and also more than 10,000 still out there. Tama po ba?
Yes, ma'am. We're still receiving reports. I mean, by we, the Commission, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the PNP, together with BI, we're still receiving reports that there's still a good number of operations all over the Philippines. Here in Metro Manila, they're basically clustered here in the southern parts of Metro Manila. We've been receiving reports of them being in Makati, being in Pasay, Parañaque. So we're doing case build-up to be able to secure the necessary warrants and the necessary mission orders to be able to neutralize these remaining POGO facilities.
Okay, spokes, I want to go into the legalities that you talked about. These POGO operations now hiding under the BPO ITM industry, reinventing themselves as BPOs. How do you think could you track these operations? How is it possible? And what would be the defining line?
Well, basically, the president was quite clear with his pronouncement last July 2024. He has basically issued a clear directive to ban all forms of POGOs, all forms of offshore gaming operations, and all industries related to this particular offshore gaming operations. And that includes business process outsourcing that caters to offshore gaming operation. Because basically, it's very difficult to draw the line between pure BPOs, the actual customer service relation BPOs of the traditional mode, and those BPOs that cater to offshore gaming operation. We've seen this in Bataan. We've seen this in the operation that we've conducted in Bataan. They were supposed to be a business process outsource, but the software that they were using, as seen from the computers that we've seized, we've retrieved, they were also they were also using softwares that were into iGaming, internet gaming. So it's a very difficult line to draw between this type of operation. So as far as the Commission is concerned, we implement the President's mandate that he has banned all types of POGOs under Executive Order 74, series of 2024, and that includes BPOs that cater to accept bets, pay out bet winnings in relation to offshore gaming.
Ibig sabihin po, pag yung taya ay nanggaling sa labas ng bansa, ito po yung bawal. Pero pag yung taya ay galing within the country, it could be, pwede po siyang maging lusot.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Opo. Basically, that's the definition of offshore gaming. Kapag foreign bettors, players, pay betting from the outside of the country, that's basically offshore gaming. And that's
to track this, you have to be able to know or take a look into what's happening in their software.
Precisely, ma'am. Precisely. And we've still been receiving a good number of reports from a good number of concerned citizens that they believe that some of the BPOs that they're working in are actually into offshore gaming. So nakakabahala po ito kasi some of these businesses are contravening what the President's directive intended.
Okay, is there a better way to track these operations? Like, for example, taking a look at the exchange of money through digital platforms or tracing where the cash is sent?
Well, that's easier said than done, Gretchen. Inasmuch as the Philippine law enforcement agencies do not have a foolproof or a rigid mechanism to be able to track digital currency platforms. Isa yan sa mga areas that we need to improve on if we would like to really succeed in the fight against this money laundering. Kasi basically, this is a type of money laundering, no? Tinatago nila yung mga illegal proceeds nila sa pamamaraan na akala nila ay magiging legal. So they're trying to clean their money. So unfortunately, medyo may kakulangan pa tayo doon. Bagamat the DICT and the CICC together with the NBI and PNP are trying to improve their digital forensic capability, fast-track their capability, so to speak, they have yet to reach their full potential. Kaya medyo mahirap po yung ganyang proseso pa at this point.
I know you raided several POGO operations already. And nagtataka lang po ako kung ano po nangyari dun sa mga na-confiscate po natin ng mga cellphone and also the corresponding e-wallet accounts in those cell phones that are being used for these POGO operations. Meron po bang mga funds na na-freeze dun po sa mga e-wallet na nahawak po natin dun sa cellphone?
I'll be honest with you. We have applied for several warrants to seize, search, examine computer data. Despite recovering thousands of desktops, laptops, and Android and iPhones, our different law enforcement agencies mandated to do forensics on them were only able to look at the tip of the iceberg. And for example, in Bamban, out of the thousands that were seized, only less than 20, if I'm not mistaken, were subjected to digital forensic examination by the PNP-ACG. And if I am not mistaken, none of the operations that were undertaken by all law enforcement agencies were able to trace any e-wallet, any bitcoins, or any cryptocurrency, or any digital currency for that matter.
Why weren't we able to trace them?
That is a question that is best asked to the different law enforcement agencies that were authorized by the courts to conduct the digital forensic examination. In this case, that would be the NBI Digital Forensic Laboratory and the Philippine National Police Anti-Cybercrime Group.
When you say trace, meaning dun sa cellphone po ay wala po kayo nahanap na GCash o wala pong nabuksan na account dahil hindi po alam yung PIN o yung password?
Well, they were able to open a number less than 1% probably of the computer, the digital seized, but we were not able to, by means seized, we were not able to freeze any digital accounts. No? So wala kami nakita mga traces na ganon. All that the AMLAC, the MLC, was able to freeze with asset preservation orders are hard currencies and traditional bank accounts, but none of the digital bank accounts.
So it's possible that a huge amount of money could be left in these e-wallets just sitting there, not being accessed by the owners of those accounts.
That's one. That's a possibility. But if they have remote access to these digital accounts, chances are they're still using the money to be able to fund their other illicit forms of criminal activities.
Okay, what is there also a partnership ongoing with these e-wallet servers, these companies, to be able to assist the PAOK in tracking all of these transactions and also the small-scale operations that the POGOs have devolved into?
Well, thankfully, there is a multi-agency task force that has been created by the Executive Order 74, no? And that includes the Department of Justice and even the AF. We're meeting on a regular basis every Monday. In fact, we've got our meeting at 11 o'clock today, basically to touch base with the different stakeholders, and that includes the financial technology companies, the fintech companies. No, we're just hoping that they're more responsive and they're more proactive in the response to our requests.
It seems that we need some form of guidance there. But yung proseso po ng pagbubukas ng mga account na ito, gaano po kakomplikado? Could you give us an idea how it is working with these tech companies and finding the right papers to get them to trace all of these transactions?
Well, it's not that easy, no, Gretchen. For one, you need to have sometimes the physical crypto wallet for one, or if not, you need to have the actual details of the digital accounts, digital financial technology accounts, for example, and you need to get PIN codes, passwords, and so on, and even the I forgot the other terms. But then again, we're really encountering a wall, so to speak, to be able to put an end to this problem in relation to digital currency. All that we're getting so far are the traditional cash, hard currencies, the fungible items, build real estate properties and the like. And we believe that these are just this may prove to be insignificant in relation to the digital amount that are in this cryptocurrency or financial technology account. So we really need to get access into them.
Okay, so more than 10,000 POGO workers still looking to be found by the PAOK. What is PAOK relying on, and is it really going to take a year?
We're doing our very best. We do hope that we'll be able to get enough human intelligence. At this point, Gretchen, it's basically human intelligence that's driving our operations. We're getting a lot of calls, messages from concerned citizens that are seeing a good number of foreign nationals coming in and out of certain areas. And once we get those information, we try to validate them, and we apply for the relevant search warrant or immigration mission order for that matter. God willing, we'll be able to deport, neutralize a good number of them in the next few days, weeks perhaps.
All right, thank you so much for fleshing that out for us and providing context to these numbers. Maraming salamat for joining us on Morning Matters today. We have PAOK spokesperson Winston Casio. In the world of sports, National University Lady Bulldogs dominated LaSalle in the UAAP men's volleyball opener. NU kicked off their title defense with a dominant straight-set victory over LaSalle. Bella Belen led the Bulldogs with 14 points, while Alyssa Solomon added 13 in their 25-23, 25-21, 25-18 victory. New NU head coach Sherwin Meneses also welcomed the win. Meantime, Adamson Lady Falcons stunned Ateneo with a reverse sweep in the second match. Super rookie Shaina Nitura exploded for a career-high 33 points, 4 blocks, and an ace. Adamson overcame a 2-set deficit to win 21-25, 20-25, 25-12, 25-15, and 15-12.
Trabaho po talaga ng team. Parang sa training pa lang sinasabi na namin na dapat first game maganda yung pass namin sa season na to. Palaban yung nasa, so dapat mas palaban.
Matagal din namin winner on yan bago mabuo yung trust ni coach sa akin at yung trust namin sa coaching staff.
Moving on over to basketball, Gilas Pilipinas wrapped up their 2025 Doha International Cup campaign with an 86-55 loss to Egypt. Justin Brownlee led the team once again, finishing with 18 points and 5 rebounds. This is Gilas' second straight defeat after a 75-54 loss to Lebanon. Their only win came on opening day, edging out Qatar 74-71. Gilas will next face Chinese Taipei on February 20 and New Zealand on February 23 in the third and final window of the 2025 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. And when we return, we'll provide context on various issues with senatorial aspirant attorney Jimmy Bondoc. Don't go away. Morning Matters. We'll be back. I'm Gretchen Ho, and this is Morning Matters. Like what we discussed earlier, the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission says it will take a year to remove all Philippine offshore gaming operators. The Bureau of Immigration also reported 11,000 ex-POGO workers still remain in the country. Now, this comes despite the government's POGO ban implemented on December 31. And today on Morning Matters, we are joined by senatorial aspirant attorney Jimmy Bondoc to weigh in on this issue and to talk about his candidacy. Welcome to our show, Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen, and thank you to Morning Matters.
Okay, so our story there, yung 11,000 POGO workers have not been deported. We're still looking for them. At sabi nga ni Winston Casio, ito ay nag-develop to smaller operations, naging BPO, ITM na sila. I mean, you've been in PAGCOR. What are your thoughts on this? How difficult is it to actually weed out these illegal POGO operations? And you did say in an interview that POGOs are not inherently harmful and may give social benefits if prepared correctly. I mean, your thoughts on that?
This is a very difficult issue, no? Because every time I speak about POGO, people might, yung mga operators dyan, hello, good morning. Baka they might make it look like I'm defending it. I have never defended POGO, ever, never. But my point is, this issue right now highlights what I said, that POGO is there. Illegal or legal, they will be there. I wish the government well, Bureau of Immigration, our police, na sana mahanap nila yung 11,000, mapaalis natin, you know. But it's hard because it's a big industry. Okay, so your question is, what are my thoughts here sa 11,000, no? Well, that just goes to show that it's not a PAGCOR matter. It is a police matter. Paano po natin sila mapapaalis without violating human rights? No? Yan ang number one. Number two, yung POGO, when I say it's not inherently bad, I'm not saying it's also inherently good. I'm just saying that it's neutral, it's an industry, call center siya. Nung kami po nagpapatakbo niyan, puro call center yan dito ang nagsusugal ibang bansa. Hindi talamak ang gambling sa Pilipinas. Ang nagsusugal, ibang bansa. Hindi lang China, ibang bansa, maraming bansa.
But this was also banned in other countries. Even Juan Ponce Enrile said that the president was ill-advised to actually allow this given the cost-benefit analysis na hindi lang yung pagsusugal, pati yung crimes nangyayari, yung torture, yung, ano pa ba, yung scamming, yung crimes committed inside the POGO compounds themselves.
Opo.
I mean, hindi nyo ba nakita yun that weighs heavy in terms of the cost-benefit analysis?
Is it still happening? That's my question. Yes. Was it happening? Yes. Was it happening long ago? Yes. Because bisyo ito. At ang bisyo, kung ako lang po ang masusunod, kung ako lang po ang Diyos, di sana tigil na natin. Sana po talaga mawala ang gambling. Pero habang nandyan siya, legal or not, magkakaroon po ng mga incidental or neighboring crimes. Kasi nandyan yung bisyo eh. So, yes, I would never speak against an Enrile. Who am I? You know? Pero ang sinasabi ko lang is, may mga POGO operators na gustong ayusin yung kanilang pagpapatakbo at gusto magbayad sa gobyerno. Now, it is an administration question. Gusto ba nilang tumanggap ng buwis na tama dito sa mga maayos na POGO operators or hindi? That is their wisdom. I will not question that.
Okay, actually, that was a debate prior to the president declaring a ban on whether this could be actually regulated. But speaking of the president,
if I may,
go ahead.
Just a last comment on that. Kung ako po ang presidente at talaga gusto ko iba ng POGO, I wouldn't just stop taking their money. Kasi hindi yun ang be all and end all. I would crack down. Yung talagang police matter, talagang paalisin. Hindi yung may 11,000 pa rin. Nandito pa rin a year later. No? So, you stop taking their money, pero paalisin agad. Magkakabit yun.
Pero paano nga? Kasi yung kanina nga, pinag-uusapan pa lang namin, nahihirapan silang i-track yung operations. So, dahil digital na yan, no? Pwedeng sabihin nila na tumataya lang, kasi pag local,
They just
yung
change
bets.
their IP
Yun nga, ganun na
addresses.
nga.
Yeah, they just change their IP addresses. Eto nga ang sa akin. Isn't that an excuse? Hindi ba kaya ng gobyerno na mas magaling ang mga hacker natin, mas magaling ang mga operator natin para paalisin sila? then it is a competency issue. So ang sa akin, tanggapin ninyo, kung hindi nyo kayang paalisin, pairali na lang natin ng tama. Pero mas gusto ko paalisin. O galingan
But
nyo yung
even with the
pagpapaalis.
legal operations, there were also a lot of illegal operations.
Well, yes, which is why you should find them, you should file cases against them. May proseso naman tayo. But that's what I'm saying. Ang sinasabi ko lang po bago tayo mag-change topic, it's a complicated matter and we really shouldn't judge the personalities behind it. It's very hard.
Okay, all right. Speaking of the president, we actually had our top story today with the president reacting to the quipping of former President Duterte killing 15 senators to make way for the others. At ito ang sabi ni PBBM over the weekend.
Makapatay tayo ng mga 15 na senador. Pasok na tayo lahat. Pero kawawa naman. Pero nakakainis kasi yung, hindi naman lahat. Pero, sabi nga, talking of opportunities, the only way to do it is to pasabugin na lang natin yung ano.
Narinig lang natin nung isang araw. Walang daw pag-asa. Siguro, kali na, wala silang pag-asa. Kaya papatay na lang sila ng 15 na senador. Ay, talaga, bagay. Mahirap naman yung ibang tao. Ang iniisip lang nila, ang kaisa-isang solusyon sa lahat ng problema ay pumatay pa ng Pilipino.
Sabi niya, wala daw pag-asa siguro, wala silang pag-asa, kaya papatay na lang ng 15 senador. Sa bagay, mahirap naman ng ibang tao. Iniisip nila ang isang solusyon sa lahat ng problema ay pumatay pa ng Pilipino.
You know, Gretchen, nung simula pa lang ng campaign ko, I vowed na talaga magre-real talk lang ako. Win or lose, magre-real talk lang. So ito po ang real talk. This is my contribution to everybody sa ating political conversation. Wala po kayong narinig ngayon dyan na tao who meant what they said. Lahat po ito ay PR lamang. Do you really think the president, the former president, means it pagpapapatay siya ng mga senador? No? Lahat po ito is really just nagko-compete lang po sila lahat for your ears, for your attention dahil mahal po ang airtime. Kaya ang sa akin po, talagang tingnan ninyo ang history namin ng mga kumakandidato. Nothing more. I'm not asking for your votes, I'm just asking, suriin nyo na lang yung mga tao. Huwag na po kayo magpaloko sa mga ganyang PR. Luma na yan eh.
Well, the NBI actually recommended to file charges against the Vice President for a kill threat on the President, the House Speaker, and the First Lady. You are a lawyer. What do you think is the difference of her pronouncements, the Vice President's pronouncements, with the former President's pronouncements? Pareho silang nagsabi, nagpapapatay sila. Pero pag tinignan mo, pinut mo side by side yung dalawang statement na yon, sinabi ni VP, no joke, no joke.
Okay. Well, that's the difference. That's the difference. Yung kay Pangulong Duterte, I was there. That was our proclamation. And very clearly, it was a joke. Kasi even the way he said it eh. But again, I'm not defending anyone. Pero very clearly, it was a joke. Patayin na lang natin. Parang ganon, you know? At sinabi niya pa nga, binawi niya pa na, pero wag na, kawawa naman eh. Okay, so done. Done na yon. Yung kay VP Sara, seems less like a joke, no? Hindi siya joke. But I do go with the argument that it's a conditional threat. Parang sinasabi niya na pag namatay ako, patayin niyo to. Sa pandinig po ng iba, hindi talaga maganda. Sa pandinig ng iba, sa akin kasi sanay na ako sa ganyan. Eh. Pero if I were her lawyer, and she is a lawyer, I would go with that argument that it's a conditional threat. Because if you go strictly by the words, there was a condition. Ibig sabihin, I'm not gonna do it unless they kill me. Self-defense.
Well, actually, there's a whole debate about it. That,
of course.
Iba yung conditional threat sa threat with condition.
Yeah,
right?
narinig ko yan. No?
Oo, but we're not gonna get into that. It's
sila
gonna take a full hour. But
yes.
Let's go to the impeachment trial of the Vice President, the looming impeachment trial. Your thoughts on the Senate taking this timeline, sinasabi ni Senate President na pagkatapos na raw ng SONA. Is that constitutional?
Again, it seems futile to discuss it because even people like former Justice Carpio and President Chis Escudero, iba-iba ang kanilang mga opinion. Ano? So ano ba ibig sabihin ng proceed forthwith and all that? Pero ako, at the end of the day, impeachment is political. Sasabihin lang, hindi pwedeng mag-convene unless mag-special session si Presidente. But it's political. It's all political. Naloloko po tayo ng politika. So, ganito na lang. Kung yung ang ating legislators gusto talagang tanggalin si Ma'am Sara and they have the political will and they have the numbers, they have all the freedom to do so. Personally, I just think, awang-awa na ako sa bansang Pilipinas. Kasi that takes up everyone's attention, that takes up everyone's mind. Tapos, walang nangyayari sa presyo ng bigas. You know, ako talagang naaawa sa Pilipinas.
But don't you think that the investigation into the Vice President's use of confidential funds had merit in itself? Na paano nagastos yung 100 plus million in 11 days?
Yeah.
Mayroon nag-surface na Mary Grace Piatos na hindi mapaliwanag kung sino yon, wala rin sa TSA. And don't you think that investigation had merit in itself?
Well, that investigation is ongoing. Nandun siya sa COA, hindi po ba? And there was a joint circular ng COA naman, yung 2015-01, about the guidelines. And right now, sinusuri nila yung paggamit ng funds na yon according to those guidelines. Hintayin natin. Ang hamon ko po sa ating lahat, tingnan natin yung politika behind the investigation. Kasi lahat naman may confidential at intelligence funds. I'm predicting na buksan nyo lahat yan. You will find much more questionable ways of spending. Now, am I justifying na dapat absuelto si Ma'am Sara kung meron ding ibang gumawa? Hindi po. I'm saying, tingnan natin yung nature ng confidential funds. Kasi madalas po talaga dyan, maraming mga pseudonym, maraming mga fake names dahil ayaw natin masunog yung mga informant.
Pero ang sabi ni Vice President, ito ay nagamit dahil bago siya pumunta sa maglagay ng proyekto sa isang lugar, pinapa-survey niya muna.
Correct.
I mean, is that the proper use of confidential funds? Because pag sinabi natin confidential funds, usually these are related to security matters.
Oh, is that not a security matter? Kasi halimbawa, kahit sa negosyo, or bibili ka ng lupa, di ba titingnan mo muna, parang marami bang NPA dyan? It's the same thing. Or even, kunyari sa Department of Education, hindi natin alam na kung minsan yung mga teachers or yung mga students, they're open to the threats of being, recruited by communist organizations. Inaaral po ng DepEd yan. Lahat po ng government agencies, I've said this in a debate, ay may kinalaman sa national security. Nag-iiba-iba lang po yung degrees. No? Pero kunyari nasa DepEd ka, sasabihin mo walang national security concerns yan. Hindi po totoo
But
yun.
isn't that the mandate of the security agencies and not of the Vice President's office and not of the DepEd?
Well, I would like to invoke my few years of experience in government, 6 years to be precise, that even in PAGCOR, there are intelligence and confidential issues. No? Na kasi kapag po kayo ay nasa gobyerno, real talk po ako lagi ha, magalit man kayo o hindi. Kapag kayo ay nasa gobyerno, you're always on the line no, between order and chaos. No? Inaaral po natin lagi kung mag-i-invest ba tayo dito o hindi. Even internally po sa mga gobyerno, may mga espiya ko minsan. Is that not a security threat? So where do you get the funds to investigate that? Now, am I saying walang accountability? Hindi. Dapat may accountability. Kaya nga may COA circular to 2015-01.
But Congress also has power over the purse to make sure that funds are being spent the right way according to their appropriate function.
Yes.
So that means it's in their power also to open this.
Of course.
And to investigate on how the confidential funds were used.
Absolutely. That's their power of oversight.
So why are you saying that this is political? I mean, it could be also,
well,
I mean, the investigation having merit in itself.
Yes, because we are, what you're asking me is what I think their intentions are. Diba? Kasi iba-iba ang intention ng bawat kongreso sa bawat, it's case to case. Sometimes their intentions in some investigations, maganda. Nakikita ko na parang they're really just out for the truth.
But you agree that it is within their function to investigate on this?
Of course, that's constitutional. That's part of their oversight.
Speaking of how money is used, you filed you are one of those who filed graft and falsification charges to the Office of the Ombudsman on the insertions in the 2025 budget. What are your assertions here?
Well,
why falsification charges?
Yes, and
graft?
3019, Section 3E. Simplihan po natin. Napaka-komplikado ng budget process, no, yung pagpasa. No? Pero, merong blanco doon sa BICAM report, nagkaroon ng laman. At ang last touch ay sa House of Representatives, yung mga respondents sa aming kaso. So we filed charges kasi that's a case of res ipsa loquitur, no? The thing speaks for itself. Mga lawyers, alam po yan. Sino pa ba? Iyon po ang ibig sabihin ng res ipsa loquitur. Sino pa ba ang maglalagay kung di kayo? Dahil yung last touch po, the printing of that report papunta sa presidente ay sa House po nangyayari under the custody of the persons named.
But this happened in the BICAM, right?
No. Kasi galing sa BICAM blanco eh.
Oh, yung blanks nga.
Blanco, oo. But there's nothing wrong with blanks. Walang masama sa blanco. Well, masakit na may blanco na zero yun eh.
That were supposed to be filled in, right? Kasi ang argument nila, yung blanco nandyan, kino-compute pa.
Yeah, but that's their argument to make it look like
So
it's clerical.
what was falsified?
241 billion bigla ang naidagdag sa various projects ng Department of Agriculture and yung sa NIA irrigation, no? In short, ganito. Yung BICAM report is just a process of somewhere in the third reading. Somewhere in the third reading. Pero kailangan bumalik yan sa plenaryo. Sa buong Kongreso, buong Senado, para lahat sila sabihin, o sige, yan ang amount na ilagay natin. They have to agree. Hindi, kasi the BICAM report is not a constitutional body to do that, no? So, pagdating sa plenaryo ng BICAM report, blanco pa din. Blanco pa din. So, ibig sabihin, zero na yan. Kung, linawin ko po, kung blanco yung BICAM report at blankong dumating yun sa presidente, no problem. Pero ang problema po, blanco yung BICAM report, biglang nagkalaman after the plenary at napadala sa presidente. Sino po ang naglagay?
So who is culpable?
Well, yung
who are you tagging as culpable?
Si Speaker Martin Romualdez, Zaldico, kasi APRO siya, Manix Dalipe, at si current chair ng APRO na si Stella Kimbo.
Okay. I want to go to this controversial statement that you made in another media outlet, and this is regarding Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. Ang sabi po ninyo, kaya ako sinusuportahan si Pastor Kibuloy dahil para sa akin siya ngayon ang mukha ng kawalan ng hustisya sa sistema ng Pilipinas. What did you mean by that?
I know we all have our differences, lalo na sa relihiyon. Kaya nyo po bang hiwalayin yon sa pagdating sa hustisya? Kasi kung kaya ninyo, then I am talking to you. Wala pong kinalaman sa relihiyon ang nangyari halimbawa doon sa KOJC siege. Walang kinalaman yun dyan. At that's injustice against him. Yung feeling ko abuse in the execution of the warrant. Ngayon, nakakulong siya, pero the charges have been dropped by the FBI. And there's one remaining case na mukhang ma-drop na rin. And yet, based on the same evidence, he is being detained here. Wala na po akong comment doon.
It's not just the FBI actually. It's also the Davao Court and the Pasig Court sending out warrants of arrest for him for qualified human trafficking and child abuse. So meron na po yan sa local courts natin.
Yes. You know, sub judice yan eh. Kasi may mga pinag-usapan po kami dati ni Pastor na ako'y medyo naliwanagan. Pero hindi ko rin kasi ma-discuss yung...
magkaibigan kayo ni Pastor Kibuloy?
No, we've met once. We've met once and this is it. It was a 2-hour conversation. So, bahala na po sila sa depensa nila.
But why do you think there was
KOJC.
injustice here? I mean, these are actual legal cases filed against him. There are warrants of arrest. And those warrants of arrest are sent out now according to reasonable certainty of conviction, right? If that is the weight of the evidence. Bakit yung nasabi na injustice? Ito hindi ba parang sinerve lang naman? And if you're talking about serving justice, he should be able to face the music.
Yes.
if he is truly
You
innocent.
should. But again, you're asking me why I posted that. And I was really focused on simula pa ng KOJC. Kasi I was addressing the KOJC crowd when I said that. The proclamation rally. Yung nangyari po sa KOJC, talagang for me was a very egregious violation of human rights. No? So, even just focusing on that, that's already parang sampal yun sa separation ng church and state, sa human rights. Just focusing on that. Kasi pagdating dyan sa mga kaso na yan, I would love to get into it, but magkukulang po ang isang oras natin.
No, but separating that is a totally different case altogether.
I don't think so, because it's injustice.
Dahil iba yung kaso niya sa naging paghabol sa kanya dun sa compound. Yung kaso niya mismo, don't you think that,
But isn't that injustice altogether? That's
why is it injustice altogether? Weren't they trying to serve justice by sending out the warrants of arrest for the victims who actually filed cases in courts?
Hindi, siguro ganito. To quickly settle the issue, kasi ayaw kitang kaaway, masyado kang maganda eh. yung
Mawawala na tayo ng oras.
Hindi, totoo naman
Konti na lang.
Totoo naman eh. Nakakabighani yung mata mo eh. So ganito na lang. Let the courts decide this. Okay lang yon. Although I hope they would set bail soon. Because bailable naman yung mga kasong, most of the cases na filed against him. Eh. In fact, I think he has a bail hearing very soon. So, ang totoo kong intent, tinatanong nyo kung ba't ko sinabing face of injustice, I was addressing the KOJC crowd nung sila ay pinasok. That is the core of that
That's
statement.
the context of that statement.
That's the context of that
Okay,
statement.
let's go now to you running with PDP Laban.
Yes, proudly so.
How did you get close to the former president?
Anong campaign pa nung 2015 before the 2016 elections. And it's literally the power of song. Very proud of that. Because I wrote a song for him eh.
Okay.
Ayaw niya tumakbo, so tumakbo ako. Gumawa ako ng kanta na entitled Takbo to encourage him to...
You said you align with the Duterte principles.
Yes.
What are those principles?
Well, it's ulit-ulit, anti-criminality, anti-corruption, anti-drugs. Kasi like, I may sound like palaban sometimes, but I'm really seeking peace, even with your friends and mine. And hinahanap ko lagi kung saan ba tayo mag-agree. Even about Duterte, can we not agree about certain things?
Do you agree on the way he carried out his drug war?
Yeah. And again, hahaba na naman yung issue na yan, the state-sponsored ba yung mga ibang killings, etc., etc. But honestly, if you go around now and you ask people if they feel safer now or if they felt safer then, the common answer, really non-political, they really just felt safer during the Duterte.
But we are talking about 6,200 recorded deaths and yun lang ang sinabi ng PIDEA in the anti-illegal drug war. Talking about...
State-sponsored?
May kapalit yun.
State-sponsored?
They feel safe but merong tayong...
State-sponsored or not proven yet?
6,200 allegedly. I mean, this is...
State-sponsored?
We're talking about a state-sponsored drug war.
Kasi the question is, if the killings were state-sponsored, yun lang lagi ang tanong.
And
They have to prove
President
that in court.
Duterte said he actually told police to encourage criminals to fight back.
Yes, but which he has taken back many times. Lahat tayo victims naman ng paganon-ganon niya ng mga...
But he actually acknowledged he had a Davao Death Squad that sometimes
Which he
were
has
composed of.
Which he has disowned.
Hindi ba parang magulo yun?
Nag-aaway na tayo, tapos gumaganda
Hindi ba magulo yun? I mean, you are a lawyer.
Yeah.
You studied 4 years about the Constitution. And here we have a drug war that is taking the law in its own hands.
Okay, to be serious, here's the problem. We are trying it all based on public pronouncements, which is not bad. Pero we really have to try it on evidence. Ang problema kasi sa public pronouncements, may halong politika, may halong pangangampanya, may halong bilang presidente, tinatakot niya ang mga taong bayan, yung mga masasama. That's part of his management style. And for me, it worked. To some, it's distasteful. Okay, let's agree to disagree. So let's go to the law. Nasaan yung ebidensya? File it in court and then make him accountable for it. Sure, go ahead. As long as it's in our courts. Basta wag ICC.
But don't
Okay.
you think it is difficult to actually have a credible investigation because we're talking about
No.
law enforcement here who
Yeah,
takes
here.
care the PNP investigating on its own
Yes,
ranks?
but NBI just recommended filing charges against VP Sara, right? So ibig sabihin, kapag panig sa gusto natin, naniniwala tayo sa prosecutorial service. Pag hindi tayo naniniwala sa prosecutorial service. Bakit ganon? It's either we believe in our prosecutorial and judicial processes or not. So, let's put faith in our system para maging tunay na Pinoy naman tayo, na maniwala naman tayo sa sistema natin. We are a sovereign nation. Matagal natin pinaglaban yan. Let's stick
Okay,
stick
Attorney
to it.
Jimmy, nako mukhang wala na tayong oras. No?
Oo, hindi tayo
Next
nag-away,
time,
ah.
Hindi tayo nag-away. Para tayo atinista. No? The next time we'll have, hope to have more of you. But saan ka namin naabangan? I mean, everybody who is looking out to. Where will you campaign?
Oh, just follow my social media accounts because that's all I can afford.
All right, thank you so much. We have senatorial aspirant, PDP Laban candidate, Attorney Jimmy Bondoc
God bless
joining us on Morning Matters today. And that's it for today's episode of Morning Matters. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.